And hello, it's Always in Stitches, the What's New News, WAIS. Come on in. We're going to be broadcasting here in just a second. We're back in the studio again. I have my official mug. Peter reminded me that most of the time when you watch news shows or TV shows, they have a little mug. And they say there's nothing in it. They just pretend to drink, and I don't know. There's really nothing in this either. But we have a mug because and we have a new feature. We have a new member of our little organization here that I have to share with you. Did you have a pet rock, Peter? Did you ever have a pet rock?
I think at one time I did, because everybody had them.
Everybody had pet. You paid, and we bought them. That was the wackadoodle part. You bought pet. So we have our weather rock now. Here's our weather rock. Let me put it in front of the WAIS news. It's a little small. Can I just say?
Well, it just needs to fit in the hands, see?
Okay.
When I picked it up from outside, it was cold, so that told me it was cold. And then, of course, we brought it inside, so it dried off, but it was damp.
So it's cold and damp today.
Cold and damp.
According to our weather rock. And that's
a light jacket will be needed.
A light jacket. Oh, Lisa, come here. She found a bigger rock. Where'd you have that rock?
In my drawer.
Why did you have this big rock in your drawer?
I inherited it.
Lisa, you've been holding it out on
Look,
us.
okay, so now we have two weather.
This is a better rock.
This is a better rock. We like this weather rock better.
Hey, this one's, now we have to keep it outside.
That one's been drawn on.
This looks like it has some antiquity to it.
It does.
It's been carved.
Ancient.
I wonder if it's from a cave.
I don't know. That's that's an ancient weather rock. I don't know.
Yeah, it has a carving on it.
It has a carving on it. Okay, so we have two weather rocks now. We'll see if they have differing opinions. Because, one rock may think it's one and the other rock may think it's an. I don't know. I'm just saying. But so now we have official weather rocks. So if you want to know the weather. So that's part of the WAIS news. What's new is our weather rock.
But actually, I should probably see what you're wearing on your feet.
Oh, I know. I have sandals on today. Can you see my feet?
Because you had those other sandals on last time. So this is a different test pair, right?
This is a different test pair. I'm testing for summer. Yep, there you go. So, yeah. I wore sandals again today because I figure if it's above 40, I can wear sandals.
You know what? Now this makes me wonder, should we have a sandal segment? We
might have to have a sandal. I have a really bad obsession with shoes. It's like fabric shoes. I really love to buy shoes, and it's probably not healthy, but you know what? It could be worse. I could be doing terrible things. So,
well, they say that your soles are the most important thing that you have to take care of.
That's right. I'm taking care of my soul. That's right. Yeah, and I saw. You know what I did this weekend? We went to see the Jesus Revolution movie, talking about taking care of your soul. Really good movie. If you're thinking about going to see it, go see it. See, I even wore like my 70s kind of vibe today because I was like totally into it.
How many thumbs up for that movie?
I give it. I don't know what's the maximum thumbs. I
guess
guess
how many
two.
do you have?
I guess that's a good point. I have two thumbs up. I don't know. I thought maybe it was 10 thumbs. I don't know. That was
two opposing thumbs.
Two opposing. So I give it 2 thumbs up. You wouldn't have to see it in the theater if you didn't want to. You could wait till it comes on the home TV. But it was really fun. We saw it with a whole group of people that were in a church together. So that was.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Normally you go to a movie and you just kind of sit there and you're like this close to somebody and you never say a word to them. But this was like a family reunion. Everybody's like, oh, hi, how you doing? And chatting and stuff. So it was really fun. But anyway, I would highly recommend that movie if you're looking for something to do. Go see that movie. So we've had, this is such new. We've had a movie review. We've had a weather report. So now let's talk about what's new in the store, shall we?
Okay.
What's new news? So every week I'm trying to come up. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Every week I try to come up with something new to talk to you about, and I decided. And it's usually, we laugh, it's a 3 a.m., oh, we could talk about this. And I thought, well, we'll talk about pens, P-I-N-S, pens, like pens, like you use when you, and I thought, well, we'll have 3 or 4 pens to talk about. Well, I went out front and started gathering pens. And of course, then that leads us to a discussion about pen cushions. So this is a rabbit hole we're going to go down because who knew? And then once I started picking them up, I was like, oh yeah, I like that and that. And then I went and got my personal pin cushion collection. And, so here's kind of what is in my sewing room. And I realized, you know what? There really is more to this than just a stick with something to keep it from, going all the way through the thing. So, oh my gosh, look how messy that is. I should have cleaned them up first. Ooh. It's furry. What can I say? I'm a seamstress. It's the way it is. So throw that over there. Okay, so
Don't sit next to Dawn. She'll straighten it.
yeah. So yeah, if you guys, those of you who follow Dawn, you know when she has like a huge pin cushion collection. I'm not to her level at all. Don't. I'll never aspire to that. These are all pin cushions I have made. You'll notice there's a common pattern. I love this. This is an English paper pieced one, which we have a kit for. If you're like, I really want that, we do put a kit together to make this pin cushion that you can buy. It's a really fun little kit, and there's a video on our YouTube page that's the English pin cushion class. It's an hour, I think almost an hour and a half class that I teach you how to make these pin cushions. Love, 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 love these pin cushions. I've made, I don't know, probably 50 of them at this point, and it's a fun little thing to make. It's a great skill, and I love the pin cushion. I love the way it functions. It's just the right size. So
back to the kit. So you're saying I buy the kit and I take what's in it and I end up with this. I don't have to come back and buy other stuff to make that?
Nope, you don't have to come back. The only thing that's not in it is the stuffing, because stuffing,
okay.
What you put in your pin cushion, I like to put walnut shells in mine because it gives them some weight. You can put magnets in them. You can put like walnut shells with a magnet in the middle so that it kind of is magnetic if you want. You can put fiberfill in it. You can put steel wool. Some people, they'll put steel wool because it sharpens the pen. It's kind of your own preference. These all have walnut shells. Some of them are packed tighter than others. This one I didn't get quite enough walnut shells in it, so she's kind of wimpy. But it works. I mean, you know, it's not as firm. This one is good and firm. It's got a nice solid weight to it because I really got the walnut shell stuff down in there. You'll also notice I've got these are magnets. So I can, you know, I can put that on there too so that it holds my pins if I need to. And then I've put loops on these so I can hang them if I want to hang them like next to my sewing machine or whatever. So there's a loop on this one too, so I can hang it off of things if I need to. I could even put this one on my wrist if I really want to, which, you know, is kind of fun. So anyway, pin cushions. And then I went and looked at all the pin cushions we have in the store, and we have some of the most adorable samples. This little owl is a pin cushion. I'd feel really bad poking pins in his belly, or in his head, but I guess that's what you could do. We've got a pattern for that. So I got all the patterns here. So that's this. It's a Heather Bailey pattern. Edgar Allan Poe. Wah, wah, wah.
Oh.
I love the name of it.
That's adorable.
Isn't that adorable? 2 little sizes. And this one, I think he's as cute as he can be, the little button eyes and stuff. So that's a fun thing. And pin cushions are a great beginner project because they're immediate gratification. You get them done fairly quickly. So that's one. And then this one, I love this one here. Now I could stick pins in him. This is a little mouse. I don't know why I can, but it just seems like I can. And he's a fig tree threads pattern. 3 blind mice. So
oh my gosh.
I think the idea is you make 3 of them. But look at his face sticking up.
That's cool.
He's got a little flower on. He's adorbs.
How fun would that be to make with scraps?
Yeah, and that's why I think we have pin cushions like these, because we're waiting on our scraps to get used up.
You know, it's like that, you know how you have that fabric, that favorite fabric that you decide to use for a project, and then you have some left and you're sad.
Yeah.
And you can't buy more of it.
Right.
But you just love that fabric, and it's like, what can I use that last bit of scrap in that I can always look at it and enjoy it?
See, there you go. See, this has a shrimp on it. How much fun is that? I had these leftover pieces, and I was like, I can't let them go. I've got to do something fun with it. So I have a pin cushion. Look at this little pin cushion. And on the sides, you know, it's got...
look at the hearts with the little birds.
Yeah.
They're in love.
They're
lovebirds.
They're lovebirds. Okay. Then the other ones from here, this is one that I love. This is one I actually made. This is from the book Pin Pals, 40 patchwork pins, poppets, and pin cushions. This one has a little tag hanging off of it. It says play. It's on one of those little bubble pins. It's got the little tag that says handmade. It's just, you know, it's a special thing. It's not something, and it's just fun. You talk about using up scraps. I mean, there's a lot of little scraps in that piece. So that's from a whole book full of pin cushions, if you're really like looking for something fun to make. This is one I don't have a sample of, but these are petite, this little round, again, little round.
Ooh, I like the ones with the button in the middle.
I do too. And again, you're going to have to stuff it fairly firm to get that button to really pop down in there like you want. But I love that pattern too. And then this little guy, look how teeny this one is. He's just adorable. Look at this little owl. And that's a fun little pincushion. And he's tiny.
And that one's called...
It's called It's a Hoot. And that would fit actually on top of a spool. I think it'd be fun to take an old spool and maybe put him on top of that so he'd have a little height. Because, you know, he's fairly short.
Like Grandma's wooden sewing spool.
Put him on Grandma's wooden sewing spool. Exactly. That'd be fun. And then we're to the magnetic ones. So these are magnetic pin cushions here. This one is one that you can actually put on your garment. So it's got like a back to it, and you put the back on one side and this on another. You'll see our staff wear these a lot to drop their pins on or their scissors or whatever. This is the wrist one. I think this style's been around for ever. And that's a good one. And then this magnetic one, I actually have this one. I'll tell you what I use this one for. When I drop my pins on the floor, I just like go down to the floor and like run that around and it'll pick up all my pins.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, but it's magnetic, so, you know, this is the one my kids will play with because you can, you know, stack them up and make little weird designs and stuff with them. But so that's a magnetic pin cushion. No wrong, no right, whatever works for you, you know, give it a try. These are great gifts. We're talking Easter basket time's coming, and if you've got a sewist that you're trying to get something for their Easter basket, pin cushion or a little pattern form would be great. So, so that's the pin cushion, which we got to stick the pins in. Now we're going to talk about pins. Oh my gosh, that's my Home Alone face. Oh my, okay, I'm going to take a drink. Okay, drink. There you go. Actually, I wanted to just set it out of the way so I didn't break it. So let's talk about pins. What kind of pin's your favorite pin, Peter?
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the only one I have. Okay, this is sad.
No, don't be sad.
Okay, so when we first started
glass.
shopping here 10 plus years ago, the Dritz, those yellow-headed ones right there, Dritz.
These, okay, gotcha.
Because you could get a big box of them.
Yeah, El Cheapo.
That
$12.
We get those, and then we have the big boxes of the curved. Do those have the curve?
I think these are the curved ones.
Or these are bent.
Those are just plain safety. These are curved.
So those are the two. So a bunch of boxes of those.
Okay.
And I still have my box of these from that I have.
I like
so
that
these
it comes
are the ones,
in a box.
These are the ones that I use.
Okay.
It's the only ones I have.
Okay, well we're gonna educate you.
But I'd love to get some of those clovers because I think those are awesome.
Right? Yeah. You know, it's funny. I mean, you see my little collection here, and I have different pins for different things. I love when it comes with a box. The pins are in a box already, so that's kind of nice.
Snaps.
Yeah, snap. We love that. So these are long, extra long, and these are glass. These are glass. So why do you care for glass pins? I'll tell you why. Because when you're ironing, glass pins don't melt. When you have a plastic ball on the end of your pin, it will melt.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
One of those.
Yeah, they will not iron. So there are glass heads. These are flat, which have a purpose. I do like the flat ones because sometimes, depending on what I'm working on, I don't want a ball sticking out there. I like it to be a little flat. They're a little easier to pull in and out. Let's see if these can be ironed. Probably not. The head is resin, so these cannot be ironed. And these cannot be ironed. So, you know, that's the other thing if you're pinning things together. But these right here that say glass head pins, I know I can iron those. I know I can. These are all, if you look at the width of the actual pin itself, sometimes they'll even tell you what millimeter.
Oh, I see some stuff on here.
Does it tell you the millimeter size?
Let's see, focus. No.
Okay.
Just the length.
Sometimes it'll tell you the actual millimeter size of
the clovers do.
Okay. But they'll tell you how long they are. So if let's say I'm quilting, or even with garments, I probably want a longer pin. I don't want a short pin. I want a longer pin. So that's something to look at when you're buying your pin, is how long is it going to be. So these are all kind of your longer pins here. This is quilting pins. Typically a quilting pin is long because you have to get in and dig through several layers.
Well, that one says heat resistant, can be ironed.
Oh, there you go. See, now that's a plus in my book, because if I pin something together and I need to iron it, I don't want to have to worry about it coming undone.
And that says it's 0.6 millimeters diameter
So that's probably the
by
width. Yeah.
48 millimeters length.
And there's a difference. When I show you some of these other pins, I'm trying to find them on mine. But yeah, when you start looking at some of these applique and patchwork pins, they're fine. I don't know if you can see through the container, but the steel part, the actual pin part, is much thinner than the quilting pins and some of these other pins. And so if I'm working with, for instance, batiks, I'm probably going to want a thinner pin for batiks because they're a tighter weave, and it's going to be hard to put a thick pin through batiks. Harder to put it through a batik than it is just a regular cotton. So I might want those extra fine pins.
Just for reference, those are 0.6, and then these are 0.4.
Yeah.
And you can see it just standing here looking at it.
Yeah, they're thick. There's a
You can
huge
see the
difference. Huge difference in the thickness of the pin. So that really matters. This is another one that's a silk. See if these are glass as well. So I kind of stick with the glass pins. That's my thing. These are silk pins too. I had to ask Peter about silk pins, and he was telling me, tell me what you said about garments, that they're for silk garments.
There's a lot of different types of silk fabrics out there. So they're designed for silks, so that way the smaller diameter doesn't leave a hole in the fabrics. But I've noticed that some of these clovers are actually finer than what these Dritz silk pins are, so that was interesting.
Yeah, but that pin is just fairly tiny when I compare it to just a regular, let's pull one of these up. I mean, I can just put those two together and you can see one's much thicker than the other. I mean, I don't know if it shows on camera, but they really are. There's a difference in how thick they are. Definitely visible. So just think in terms of that when you're buying your pins. What am I going to use them for?
Quick.
Sure.
I wonder if they're sharper.
Oh, that's a possibility too. They might be a little sharper.
Same point.
Is it same point? Okay. So different kinds, different pins. Then you have, okay, we've talked about these. Oh, I didn't talk about safety pins. So these are the curved safety pins, and when you look at them, the bottom of them is curved, and the reason you'll use these...
Love that.
Yeah, why do you like them, Peter?
I love that. So on my very first quilt that I made, we bought these here because you could easily get through the top layer of the quilt, the batting, and the backing, and then come back through and clasp it through all three layers. Because at that time, we were pin basting to do machine-free motion quilting, or machine quilting. And I mean, if you have a straight pin, it's not fun.
Yeah, it says ideal for basting quilts. Curved pin has just the right angle for penetrating the quilt layers with no shifting. Recommended for high loft batting. And these curved pins are the dream. Now this is just a box of plain old straight pins. They're not bad. I have those. I mean, you need some of those, just plain old safety pins to have around for different things. I'll tell you what I do with my safety pins. I may use them like little hooks. I'll like pin something onto them and hang it up on the wall with something because it's like a hook. But these are good too. Ball pins, same thing. I've used ball pins for quilting. They're called bulb-shaped pins. Basting multiple layers of fabric, or basting multiple layers basting. Secure tags to garments, stitch markers for knit and crochet projects. These little ball pins have lots of purposes. I can't even tell you.
This is my favorite to use for a stitch marker for knitting, because they're so thin that when you're knitting it doesn't affect your tension on the stitch. It seems like where I have a regular thick stitch marker, the plastic one, when I come to it and then knit the next stitch, there's always a gap.
Right, and this one, if you change your mind, you can move it. You can just open it up and move it wherever you want it.
Especially like on the heel on a sock.
Yeah, I like these too. I've got, and there's usually one hanging around, like there's one hanging around on there's one open right there, hanging around on my pin cushion. Because they're hanging around all the time. They're just always...
Don't leave these are chrome and black coated. If you have the brass ones, don't leave those in anything. Especially crochet, because what it'll do is it'll corrode and it'll get green on your fabric.
No, we don't want that. That would be sad. Okay, so we've kind of exhausted that discussion. Now let's look at applique pins. Applique pins are eensy teensy weensy little bitty pins. They're very short. They're very sharp. And they're made for applique. So if you've not done applique, you might not have experienced those. But they're fine, and they're little. Excellent for applique work. And that's all this says. Only 3/4 of an inch long, where those others were 2 inches and more long. These are much, much shorter. And I have some of these too for pinning of small applique. So just think of if you're doing applique with the little stems and little pieces, you don't want a 2.5 inch needle sticking through there. You want just little short pins. So that's what these, and these are also finer too. They're very fine. They're not very thick. So that's another choice in pins. Satin pins, same thing. We did satin pins. There's just another version of satin pins. So I couldn't believe how many pins we had. Okay, easy grip. Now, these are a new kind of pin that we're coming out with. And I've got some here, and they're blue and they're pink. They're kind of called a magic pin. And I really am kind of liking these. I haven't used these easy grip. This just says easy to grip. This does not say if it can be ironed. These can typically be ironed. This one's heat resistant. I don't think that one doesn't tell me if it's ironable. But again, if it's heat resistant, I'm a happy girl because I just like that. These flathead ones like this, what's nice about them, and I've got some flat ones here too. Same thing. It's just kind of easier for my hand, to get a hold of a flat pin. I have more space to grab than with a little round pin. This takes more dexterity, I think. So, think about the condition of your hands and what you can do. Us seamstresses tend to wear our hands out. So this is another one. This is a long pin, if you notice how long it is. So this is, probably one that you might want to use for quilting and things like that.
Well, those do everything.
Yeah, they do. And they come in a nice little case. We're back to the case.
I'm all about the case.
I'm all about the container. I know, me too. Give me a happy little box.
Some people are all about the base. I'm all about the case.
I'm all about the case. There you go. Me too. And these are the same thing. But they don't say if they're heat resistant. But they have a nice little bulb on them. I do like this kind here. These are kind of fun. You take that one out of your hand. But I like these too. These look like these might be good. I'm curious to know if they're... I'd have to iron one. I do the iron test. Can I iron it? If I can iron it, I'm good. Comes in a good box too. Okay. Oh, and then...
I don't think I'd want to test it with one of the fancy $100 irons.
No, what I would do is I would put it between my my silicone mat and iron it in between there. That way it doesn't hurt my iron. Okay, now these are just some other pins. Let's talk about this. This is a quilting pin. This is a pin. I don't know what do they call them, these.
I think it's called a quilt saver.
Fork pins.
That's what I'm going to call it.
They're called fork pins.
We'll call it quilt saver.
It's called a fork pin. The way I'm using those is when I've got seams to sew together, I can take this fork pin and push it in there and get on either side of a seam, there, and see how when I'm trying to sew two pieces together, it's going to hold them really nicely. And I love my fork pins. I use them all the time. Because if I've got a seam that's 4 or 5 pieces coming together, I can really be specific and stabilize it on both sides of the seam instead of just one pin down the middle. Where this is just going to go down one piece like that. And that's a much thicker pin too. These are very thin. This is not going to give me as much stabilization as the fork pin does. So that's why I'm all about the fork pin. So these are fun. They're one I use, and if I was better organized, all my pins would be on their own pin cushion. They're sort of kind of are, but not really. T-pins, gosh, you ought to have a set of T-pins just around for loose fabric. If it's a really loose woven or bulky fabric, the T kind of helps it from sliding the way that it's shaped. And upholstery, slip clevers, crafts. I don't know. You just ought to have a box of T-pins around for grins and giggles, because you never know.
And they go in the wall real well.
They go in the wall real well. Yeah, we got a lot of quilts hanging up by T-pins. Now this I have not used. This is called the Wonder Pin, and there's a little picture on the back that shows how it works. And I think, you were talking about the curved pins for quilting. I think this is kind of a curved pin thing. It says open and close with one hand. That presumes I have some dexterity and skill that I probably don't have. But it's like anything. Once you learn it, It says, hold the rear of the Wonder Pen and push the closure down, keeping the pen above the fabric. Do not use for any purpose other than basting. So, I don't know. That's one that's worth... If anybody's tried it, make a comment. Tell us what you think about it. Maybe it's your favorite pen. I don't know. And then, of course, I have to talk about Tula. Tula's pens, unicorn straight pens. Why would anyone use a boring straight pen when you could be using these? That's what she says. And it's true. They're just fun. At the end of the day, they're unicorns. Come on, people. They are a thicker quilting pen. They're not a fine pen. Look, that one's bent because you can tell I really use those. But yeah, they're just fun. This is be a good Easter gift or a stocking stuffer because, that'd be fun. They're fun. We like fun. Fun, fun, fun. And then there's a whole other kind of pens. These are numbered pens. So what these are is when you're putting your quilts together, or especially if you do block of the months, and they'll have fabric A, fabric 1, fabric 2, fabric B, fabric C. These have the letters. These are ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. These are just numbers to help you identify your blocks. And then that kind of led into some other things. We've got other things here that help you figure out which block you're working on that aren't just pens, but there's also labels that do that. So these are kind of the same thing. Organization. I like a sticker because I can stick it and it stays stuck. In these two bags, there's numbers and ABCs, and those are just like little cards almost that you would have to clip on something. But those are kind of, organization things. And then that brings me, pens are so last year, really. I mean, So in What's New News, we always want to know what's new. So let me just talk to you a little bit about binding clips. These are Wonder Clips. And if you've not been exposed to Wonder Clips, oh my gosh, you haven't seen the wonderful news of what's new with keeping things together. Sometimes when you're working with vinyl, when you're working with leather, you can't put a pen through it. It's just not going to work. So that's what these clips are for. For years, I used the black binder clips in my office because I worked in offices. I'm like, that'd work great in my sewing department because, you cross over. That's what we tend to do. But these are great. I strongly recommend Wonder Clips. They are not pens, but they're with the pens because they replace pens when pens won't work. And I have them in every size and color, and I still never have enough. I'm always like, where are they at? So I really like Wonder Clips. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, because we're talking about things that hold things together, these are magnets. These are actually Sew Tight magnets. One is a Tula brand, which we love our Tula. And I like these too because, again, there's situations where I need to hold something together. A pen won't work. A magnet's another good choice. And these magnets are like, they feel industrial. Sometimes you can't even get the things apart because they're really strong. But if I've got a piece of fabric and I need to hold it together, this really does a nice job holding it in place. That goes on the back and that goes on the front. And like I showed you when we started, I've got one on my pincushion ribbon to just catch my pins because they will hold your pins too. So, we're creative. We always do fun things with stuff. So that's your learning tip for the What's New News today, kind of our little overview. Who knew, Peter? I mean, I was kind of...
That's crazy.
I know. We're always trying to come up with...
I feel like I need to go talk to Kathy in the cabinet department to figure out what cabinet I can get, just so I can get all the rotary cutters, all the scissors, and all the pens, and then be an organized little sewist.
Yeah.
And then have a cabinet to put it all in. Exactly.
Yeah, we may have to talk about cabinets today. That may be the next segue into something. But come and talk to our staff. If you're working on a project and your pens aren't working, maybe your pens are just old. They can get rusty and nasty. So, like Peter's point about not putting brass pens and leaving them in things, I think it's a really valid point.
The chrome oxidizes on the pens too. If you notice that your pens aren't going through the fabric as smooth, it's because the tarnish is worn on the outside exterior of the pen.
They do wear out. I mean, they do wear out. And they bend. That bendy one that I had probably ought to go in the trash because it's not necessary. really what I want to be using. And then here's the other thing we need to talk about. Please don't sew over your pins. Please don't sew over your pins. And I know there was a whole period of time where we used to just put the pins in the project.
That's the only way I pieced when I first made my quilt.
I know, yeah.
Just run right over them.
Right. So, you put all these pins in every, however many inches. And, and I could have one like this. And you're sewing along. And you just sew right over that. Boom, 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 If your needle hits that pin, first of all, you've destroyed the pin. And it will throw the timing off in your machine. So all I can tell you is leave your pins in as you're sewing, and when you get to that point, just stop for a minute, pull the pin out, and then continue to sew. Although I am married to the service technician here, and I can tell you that when he gets a machine that's been running over pins, he's got job security, which is good for us. But at the end of the day, I want your machine to run. I want your machine to work. Don't sew over binder clips either. So please don't sew over pins. It's an old habit. Machines, sometimes the feed dogs will just push it on through, but that occasional time that you might hit that pin and throw your timing off, that's a service call, and we don't want to have to do that to your machine if just taking the pins out solves the problem. So I think we've talked about everything right here. So there's going to be more. Stay tuned because we've got lots of new news to share with you. And hey everybody, we are in our knitting department, which is something you've not seen on What's New News for a little while. You've met Jessica before. Here she is again. She's one of our knitting people that's in the back. She does multiple fiber things. She's a great one to ask questions of. But because she's very knowledgeable, she's going to explain to you a little bit about these really cool needles that we are now carrying in our store. So
awesome.
Take it away, Jessica.
First of all, I came back into my little nook back here in Yarn, and there were 3 of these packs sitting there. And if you've ever used ChiaoGoo needles, they are lovely. This is an interchangeable set, size 2 to US
Let me zoom
8.
in here.
Can you see that?
And you have
And
the
if-
2s in your hand?
No, yes I do. These are the
there's the
2s,
2s.
and they slip in there. And this pack only comes with the 2 to 8, but look, the bag is designed so that when you get more, there's extra spots here for putting your other needles in. This set comes with 4 of their interchangeable cords. Look how flexible it is, and look how calm it is. It's not bouncing around going crazy. And Peter, this is the other cool thing. Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah,
You can add your cords together. You can, if you're working on a sweater and it's starting to get bigger around than you thought it was going to be, you can add a little cord in there. And they're pretty straightforward to change. Those holes can be used to put a lifeline in, or what I'm going to do, I'm going to put their T-pin in there. I'm just going to untwist it. That's how you take the cord off. I'm going to take that little connector out because really, I don't need this to be 10,000 million bajillion miles long.
And you notice she used a T-pin. We just talked about T-pins.
They're useful.
They
There's
are
another
useful.
one.
Hold it down here and do it.
And those holes, you could also put a lifeline in there if you're doing lace. And this set of needles.
What does that mean?
Oh my goodness, Peter! If you've ever done lace,
How do you put a lifeline in just with a hole?
So you put a piece like of embroidery floss or other slippery thread in there, and then as you knit, you just sort of knit over the thread and your cord.
Okay.
And then at the end, 10 rows later, when you discover, holy smokes, I made a mistake, I have to rip it all out. You only have to rip out to that lifeline, and then you can get your needle back in there and pick up your stitches, and you don't have to start from the beginning again.
Okay, so before, when I would put a lifeline in, I feel like I never liked doing it because I had to weave it through with like a darning needle.
Yeah.
Are you
This saves
saying
that.
you just put it through that little hole and then as you knit, it's already in there? I don't have to worry about it, and I got a lifeline?
Yeah, and look at these tips.
Oh my God, I love it!
So these tips,
You just blew my mind.
a customer came in with these. She was
Hold it right here.
taking part in Janet's sweater class that's going on, and she showed me her sample. It was beautiful. But we were playing around with what she was doing, and her tips are like this. These are lace tips, a beautiful angle on them, and they're smooth. And so when you're knitting lace and you need to do that knit two together, you can get in there to get your two, and it all just goes together nicely. When I dream of having needles, I want some of these someday. They're lovely. Useful, comfortable. Now, some people don't like metal needles. These are metal needles. I find
They
that
didn't
they
feel
work
like
well.
them though. There's like some type of finish. They're like a soft satin finish that
It's
they
not
don't
a
feel
super
like
high polished, slippery
yeah.
finish. So, and it does have, all the ChiaoGoo things have their sizes etched onto the needle.
So
that
you don't
you
have
can,
to worry about it coming off.
Yeah,
I'm
but
wondering like what needle is this?
the kit, the whole bit comes with a little
What?
gauge. So let's see how good it is. Oh, yeah, they're too big for threes. Nope, too loose. Oh, that's pretty good. No, definitely not that. So these are definitely twos. So you've got a needle gauge. It also comes with some stitch markers and some end blocks. So like if you need your tips for something else and you don't want your stitches to fall off, you put these blocks on.
Oh, nice.
Holds everything there. And oh my goodness, all those bits and pieces. It's even got a little stitch guide so that you can see all the bits and pieces that you can get for this set. And again, the ChiaoGoo bits and pieces are all interchangeable. So if you've got one, sorry to drop that. If you've got one bit, you can just say, oh, I've got that long cord in my other set. I'll just go get that, put these together, and off you go doing your blanket or one of those amazing circle shawls. But you're going to need yarn to work with. So we brought some yarn to showcase, just because it's beautiful. We got some Malabrigo. These are not worsted weight. These are DK weight. Look how lovely these are. Just like all their other color work. Lots of depth. Look at that deep purple in there. And a shade of light lavender and even a little bit of red. That's going to knit up beautiful. And when you see it as cloth, it's going to have depth. Your eye is going to have places to look at. And wow, I don't care if you're doing a hat or a shawl or you're doing enough for a sweater. It's just going to be lovely. Deep Blue's got the same things going on. Look at the two different ones. This one back here is Regatta Blue, and it's got that bit of bright going into it. This other one, what's its name? Oh, this is also the Regatta. Oh, and there's its little bit of dark and bright. Ready to go out on the water.
That's a gorgeous color.
It is. It is.
I like that striking blue in there amongst those other shades. Oh,
I see socks.
boy.
If you're doing socks,
I might be treating myself to this set.
Check out this other set. If you, or do some of this for a lace shawl with these needles. This one would be mine. Oh, what's it called? Zinnias, of course. That makes sense. I love zinnias. Look at all the color. And look how fine it is. You put this maybe on a 4 from this set of needles.
Oh.
But those tips are going to let you pick stuff up. It'll be easy to work. You can do all your yarn overs and your knit twos together. You put your little stitch markers in so you know where your repeat is, and bam, you've got a new shawl.
Nice.
And, you know, spring weather is great for shawls because everything changes all the time. It gives you that little bit. Oh, but this one, I love grays. Look how deep it goes. Grays are fun because they go all sorts of different colors. And you can pair things, like you do a gray with this. Oh, it'd be lovely. Except we jumped ship. This one's a Royal. This one is a DK weight. Can you see? Look at the difference in size between these two. It's subtle. If I stretch it too much, you'll lose it. But there's the difference. This
Now,
one you
say I have a question.
Yeah.
So say I want to do a shawl, but man, I just the fingering is just too fine for me to knit with. Can I do a shawl with the DK?
Oh, absolutely.
And get some nice, beautiful patterning,
Sure.
and it'll show up nice.
You could do a shawl with worsted weight or bulky, but you'll
I'm
get
just
more
going,
detail.
but I'm just
from
going a
the
much larger
smaller.
needle size than recommended because that way
it's lace.
the pattern shows up, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So there you go. Come visit us. We have cool new things.
Now, and we're in our books department. We have, this is just one section behind me. Behind Peter, there's a whole nother section of books back there. We really try to keep the newest and the best books ready for you guys. Peter even said he likes the books. He's a book guy. And so we get books in all the time. it's kind of fun because when we order the books, we will get 1 or 2 copies in, usually just 1, for our staff to kind of review. Our shop owner, Lenine, likes, really, she's a frustrated librarian. If she could have been a librarian, she would have lived her dream. So that's why we have so many books in here a lot of times. But she will order a book and look it over and bring it to the staff meeting, and our staff will go, yeah, we think it's a good book. No, not so much. We have 25 people on staff, and it's really funny. I've got one book in particular here we're going to show you called Paper Caper. And when it came in, we had someone on our staff go, I can't even imagine that would ever sell. And then we had some of us on our staff went, oh my gosh, I totally have to have that book. It's English paper piecing, so you know I'm all in, and Peter's all in, and Nancy's all in. But it's the newest Sue Daly book, and it's really fun. She's got projects that comes with the paper pieces. So the paper pieces are in the back here. They're already for you. And then there's a little book, little packages you can make to hold your paper pieces, and they hold each project. And then she has the pattern to make each of these little quilts, and they're kind of mini quilts. So adorable. I love this book. We've only got the 1 copy right now. It may have to go home with me, but I'll let somebody else buy it first. But that's one of the books that we have in our store that's available to you. And then another one we just got in that I think is super fun.
I haven't even looked at it yet.
I know.
It's so new.
I kind of grabbed it because again, this is one that came into the staff meeting and we all kind of oohed and awed. It's The Art of Make-Do Quilting. And what they're doing in this book is taking old needlepoint and old embroidery. And you can see the little embroidery. If you've got some of Grandma's embroidery work, which they did so much more hand embroidery than we do now, or Grandma's needlepoint, and you're trying to figure out what do I do with that textile? How do I integrate it into something for today? That's what this book is for. Now, it's a book. I mean, you know, it's
Turn it sideways.
Yeah, see, book. It's
Wow.
not. It's got some depth to it. It's still only $30 though, so that's not good. But it's inspiring tips, ideas, and techniques show you how to include vintage pieces. Feed sacks, quilt fragments, calendars, linens, vintage ephemera, old clothing, jewelry, and more. So I think this is really fun. I think it speaks to that kind of make-do thing that we're doing right now. And if you've got Grandma's linens and they're in the closet and you're not looking at them, what better way to pull them out and have them displayed in an actual project? So loving this book. I think it's a real good opportunity to give somebody a nice Easter gift. I'm talking about Easter right now because birthdays are coming and Easters, and I think this for an Easter basket gift would be perfect. So think about that for you. All right. And then meanwhile, let's go look at some other things up towards the front. Here we the blooper reel would be amazing if you guys ever got to see it. So I'm in the notions area of our shop, and if you've been in, you know we've got like 3 sections we kind of dedicate to notions, which is kind of a lot. But gosh, there's so many things to have to do it right because it's all about the tools, right? It's the toy box, Peter. Love the toy box. And Peter found some things here we're going to talk about. First of all, this is Magic 2-in-1 Seam Ripper. We just showed you some pins, or we will show you some pins here. Same company, the Magic Company. And this is a really kind of cool. In one end, it has a stiletto, or he's calling it an awl in this case. I've used a stiletto. If you've watched any of our other videos, you've noticed that I have a stiletto that I love. And then this has a seam ripper on the other end. So this is a 2-in-1 tool. Would be great to take to a retreat because it's double duty. When I'm packing things out to take to a retreat, I want to pack as little as I can take and still get the most bang. So this would be great for that. And then this other one we found is another seam ripper that is lighted. And it has a little neck thing you can hang it around. Again, traveling in the car, a lot of us stitch when we're traveling. I love this. Rechargeable illuminated seam ripper. It's got the little hook that you could hang it on your neck. So I think that's very cool. And then we talked about this, but we didn't show it. It's a retractable fob for holding your scissors. I think we didn't show this, and we wanted to be sure you knew, when we talked about scissors last What's New, this is a great tool. I love having that. So I'm going to hang these back on the notions wall so I don't get in trouble with the staff for not putting the things away. And then you can see where I'm hanging them, because when you come in and you want to buy them, you'll know where they are.
How long did it take us to find them?
Too long. Because we're not out here. We're usually inside back on the sales floor. But this is our notions area, and this is just one section. There's 3 more sections full of goodies and funness and all the tools that you need. So we're going to go over a couple more sections, and that way you get to see some of the shop while we're walking. I'm going to follow Peter.
Am I going to rayons?
Yep, we're going to go to the rayons. So you can just kind of get a sense of what we have. We don't always get into this department. A lot of times we show you fabric and you don't get to see everything we have. This is kind of our bags, purses, notions to go with purses and bags, zippers, your home deck fabric, which we have a little bit of home deck fabric, not much. It's more just canvas weight fabric. And then our garments. Garments have really taken off. And so we have been ordering in double gauze. This is double gauze for the baby things. Actually, I've made tops out of them and they're lovely. They're so comfortable going into summer. Nice, lightweight. They're easy to wear, easy to sew with. Super, super great if you want to put your toe into garment stuff. But I'm really wanting to show you some of our rayons. And we just got these right here in. Just these little collection right here that are almost kind of a mottled, sort of leopard print, but not really because they're really colorful. These just came in from Banyan Batiks, and I love all of these. I think I bought a cut off of every bolt. But we do have other rayons, and so if you're wanting to dabble into garments, tops and blouses, and even pants, they're wearing the bigger, wider pants now, and these would make great things for that. So we do have some garment fabric in here for you, and there's no reason you can't make quilts out of this as well. I've seen quilts made with rayon, and they're lovely. They're very flexible, they're very fluid, they're very soft, and gosh, who doesn't want a nice soft quilt? So this is an area we've not showed to you yet. So this is kind of what's been here, and it's what's new to you, even though it's always not real new to us. But this is a fun spot. Check it out. If you've not taken the adventure of doing a bag, I have a bag class that's available on our YouTube channel that you can watch and be caught up with that and play along. And I'd love to have you participate in that project. It's a lot of fun. So the other thing I want to show you is on the other side of the store. We're 9,000 square feet. We're just going to have to walk for a minute. But again, it's just a moment for you to get some eye candy and see the store. So I'm going to follow along behind Peter, and you just enjoy the view. You're welcome. So now we're over in our fabric department, which is where we spend a lot of time in what's new. But we were here last week in this area, and we showed you this really cute Liberty pattern by Sweetwater from their line called Stateside. We now have the kits. The kits weren't ready yet, but it makes a 60 by 78 quilt. This is such a pretty quilt and has so much negative space that would give a quilter a real good opportunity to really have some fun doing some fun quilting. I think this negative space on here, all this white around the back, would be super, super fun. And then somebody asked about the pillow, and there is a pattern for the pillow. So, patchwork pillow in the Farmhouse Gatherings book. So there is a book that is associated with the pattern for this pillow, because we had somebody ask that. And speaking of somebody asking, when you comment, you have a chance to win, and that's exactly what happened. I have in my hot little hand a prize, and we're going to send it to, now this is what her name is on YouTube.
Her YouTube
so I
handle.
don't know your name, but it's 14 Count Ada Girl. So Ada was my grandmother's name. My mom's mom was my grandmother. Her name was Ada. So when I hear Ada cloth, I always think of my grandmother, but it's not the same. Wasn't spelled the same. Not the same kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to send her a little zippy bag here. It says Always in Stitches in it. There's a tape measure in it. There's a pencil. There's also a little handle that you can either put on your phone to use on the back of your phone, or you can put it on your sewing machine to hold your scissors. So real fun little bag of goodies. So 14 Count Ada Girl. You're going to need to contact our orders department. That's orders at alwaysinstitches1.com. You can call the store, 317-776-4227, and that'll also get you connected, and we'll get you this prize. So I'm looking forward to you having this in your collection of stuff. It's all branded with our name on it because we're shameless promoters. That's what we try to do. So we appreciate you. I think that was everything on, oh, no, not quite. There's a couple things. March 1st and the whole month of March, we're going to be having pre-cuts. Let's go around this corner here. This was fortuitous. You would have thought I planned it this way. I really didn't, but we're going to do a sale on pre-cuts. So that's going to be charms, layer cakes, jelly rolls, mini charms, if there's mini charms, which we don't always have very many of those, but they're mini charms. But any of these, for any line, charms, layers, jellies are called pre-cuts. Does not include fat quarters, okay? Just charms, layers, jellies, and mini charms. Any of these that are prepackaged will be discounted. If you buy one package, you get 10% off. If I buy two, I get 20% off both packages. And if I buy three, I get 30% off every one of these. If I buy more than three, they're still 30% off. So this is a great time to stock up. The other thing that's happening is in April, I think the 29th of April, we're doing a 1600 race. If you don't know what that is, go to our website and look up under classes 1600 race. It's a class where we use a jelly roll and you have a race with the other people in the class. It is such a fun event. It always sells out. So if you have it, if you get there and it's sold out, I'm sorry you missed it. But if you're watching this, go right now and sign up because it's super, super fun. You have to have a sewing machine that really runs well to play, but oh my gosh, or at least one you're familiar with. And they give away prizes, and Kathy and usually Stephanie helps make it, and it's a lot of fun. So that's a class that's coming. And classes, gosh, they're selling out. As soon as we put them up, they're gone.
And
so,
I think we added a Wednesday night sweater cardigan.
Yes.
Janet added a Wednesday night cardigan class.
Right. So those of you who are knitters, and I'm glad Peter brought it up, Wednesday night has now a top-down cardigan class. They're making sweaters. Look for that on our classes page on our website. Truly, our website is the best place to go if you're looking for what's going on in the store. Or be sure you're signed up to get our emails. And you can do that on our website on our homepage. You scroll down and you put the information in, and then you're going to get our emails. So I think that's kind of what's new this week. So it's every week. We just have more stuff, more what's new. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week with our weather rock. We might have to find a bigger weather rock. I'm not sure. We found a couple that are small, but I think we need a significant weather rock. That may be my project, is to find a big weather rock, and we'll set it out in front of the store and write weather rock on it. So when you come in, you can all see our weather rock. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you watching our store on the YouTube, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Happy stitching.